Ready. Here's a 10-minute YouTube narration version with simple paragraphs, typical Bangtan News Today style, ready to be read voiceover. Hello Army, welcome back to Bangtan News Today. Have you ever imagined that one simple sentence on Christmas Day could shake the feelings of millions of people around the world, not because of a new song, not because of a big concert, but because of one Jungkook remark that felt very personal, very honest, and very deep? Since Christmas morning, Jungkook's name has again topped the global trend, not because of promotion, not because of a new project, rather because of one small, but meaningful moment. Jungkook finally spoke about Taeyong, about BTS, about togetherness, and that's where everything changes. The speech was not long. No date, no promises, no big announcements, but precisely because of that, his words felt heavier. He was talking about longing, about time, about BTS as a home, about the feeling that distance never really separates them. To the layman, this may sound like a typical friendship greeting, but for the army, it feels different. There is no promotional language, there is no formal tone. Doesn't sound like an idol running errands. Jungkook sounds like someone who is opening his heart, and one name he called makes a lot of people quiet. Taeyong. Why Taeyong? Why on Christmas Day? Why now? The questions immediately filled social media. Jungkook and Taeyong's relationship has long been known to be very close. They support each other, understand each other, be present for each other in difficult moments. But when Jungkook mentions Taeyong in symbolic moments like Christmas, many feel this is no coincidence. Christmas has always had a special meaning for BTS. The end of the year is often a time of reflection, and sometimes it's the beginning of something new. In his speech, Jungkook did not just look back, he also talks about later. About when everything returns to normal, about the day when they can stand together again. They don't mention the year. No mention of plans, but for many army, this feels like a subtle signal. Is this a sign of a comeback, or is it just a missed call? No one knows for sure, but the entertainment industry in South Korea is starting to pay attention. Some consider this a very mature form of emotional communication. BTS keeps their project secret, but never lets go of ties with fans. On social media, thousands of uploads have sprung up. Many admit to crying, many feel like they are reading an open letter, because the speech feels, not just for Taeyong, but for all the army that is waiting. Jungkook also emphasized one important point. BTS is a unit that cannot be separated by time or distance, and for fans who have once lost their favorite group, this phrase feels like an emotional reassurance. BTS did not leave, they were just walking in each other's paths. Does this mean they already have plans for next year? Officially, there has not been any announcement, but if you look at BTS's communication patterns so far, moments like this are often the opening. Jungkook is not the kind of person who talks carelessly. When he chooses to speak, there is usually a deep reason, and maybe these Christmas sayings are a subtle way to keep the fire of hope burning. This year was not an easy year. There is a distance. There's a change, there is uncertainty, and in a situation like this, one sincere phrase can feel more valuable than a big promise. Taeyong himself has not given a long response, but his silence actually made many people pay more attention. In BTS culture, silence is also part of dialogue. Some of the other members were also seen attending to fans more often after Christmas. No big announcements, but there is a warmth that grows back. As if they were taking care of each other, and take care of us. Jungkook did not provide a roadmap, yet he provides an emotional compass. Time will bring them back together. That BTS story is not over yet, and that the next chapter is being prepared. This Christmas is not just about celebration. It's about hope, about waiting, about believing, and about togetherness. And maybe that was Jungkook's biggest message. BTS is not finished. They're just growing. As long as there is hope, the question of the future no longer seems so daunting, rather full of possibilities. And the conversation didn't stop at Christmas. A few days after that moment, many army began to realize one thing. Jungkook's tone felt different than usual, slower, deeper, and much more reflective. It doesn't sound like someone is promoting something. He sounded like someone who was preparing to close one chapter of his life and open the next. Many fans began to ask, is this just a feeling, or is there really something being prepared? In several old interviews, BTS has said that they want to return as a group with a more mature perspective, with more honest music, with a closer story on their own lives. And now, Jungkook's words feel like a shadow of that plan. He's talking about time, about waiting, about believing. In the process, those simple words make a lot of people reflect. about the distance, about change, about how the most meaningful things do take time. For many soldiers, this is not just news, this is a reminder that BTS is not just about the stage, that it's not just about achievement, but about the journey of life lived together, about growing up together, about waiting for each other, and about returning when the time is right. Jungkook may have finished speaking, but the impact of his words still resonates. In the comments column. On social media. In the silent halls of the fans who are waiting, everyone interprets in their own way. Some see it as a big signal, some see it as a letter of longing. There are also those who choose to enjoy those words as a little hug at the end of the year, and maybe that's the power of BTS. They don't always give an answer, and yet they always give taste. A sense that we are not alone. A sense that the wait was worth it, the sense that togetherness remains, although it is not always visible, and as long as the flavor is alive, BTS's story is still alive. Slow down, calm down, but keep walking forward, and perhaps, therein lies the quietest yet most powerful message of all that Jungkook delivered, that not all big plans need to be announced with cheers, not all changes start with a press conference. Sometimes, it all starts with one honest sentence, on a meaningful day. Christmas isn't just about lights, presents, or celebration. For many soldiers, this Christmas feels like a tipping point. A moment to take a breath, and recalling why they fell in love with BTS in the first place. BTS is not just about music, they are about life stories, about dreams, about the wound, and about hope. Jungkook's words seem to remind us of one important thing, that behind all the busyness, projects, and distance, there are still people who miss each other, there are still friendships maintained. There are still unwritten promises that remain alive, and perhaps, that is the foundation of all that is to come. Not a date, not a schedule, not a rumor, except trust, the belief that when BTS re-stand together, they will not only bring new music, but also bring a more mature, more honest, and closer version of themselves to who they really are. For those of us who are waiting, Jungkook's words were a gentle reminder that waiting does not mean being abandoned, silence doesn't mean it's over, and that distance doesn't mean it's over. This is just part of the journey, unfinished journey. A growing journey, and someday, when the stage lights come back on, and the seven figures again stood together, we will remember, it all started with a little Christmas greeting, words that teach us to believe, and from that moment on, many ARMY began to look at the following days with different feelings. No more just waiting, but wait with confidence. Every little thing feels more meaningful, every short smile feels like a message. Every silence feels like part of a story in progress. BTS may not be standing together on one stage, their hearts, however, seem to remain on the same line. They walk in each other's paths, learn, grow up, strengthened, and in the distance, we can feel that there is a meeting point being prepared. Jungkook, in his calm manner, has reminded us of the essence of it all, about friendship, about loyalty, and about the reason why BTS was ever formed in the first place, not just to be big, but to be meaningful. The Christmas greeting is like a fine thread that ties back the feelings of fans who have been torn apart by distance and time. He didn't scream. It is not demanding, and yet it touches, and sometimes a small touch is much more powerful than a big bang. Maybe this is how BTS speaks in their new phase, slower, more honest, more mature. No more chasing the world. To walk the world with them, and if someday, BTS is back with a new story, with new music, with renewed vigor, we will know that it all started long before, from one small sentence, from one Christmas day, from an honest feeling. And until that day comes, we stay here, waiting, believe, and walk with them.